Well, that's me doing the Mr. Bean dance. Always wanted to do that in front of a crowd and see if I could pass it off. And what better place to get it out and tick it off my bucket list than at Toastmasters. My bucket list of achievements. Achievements, you say? Yes, to me, it's a huge achievement. I have just 3 speeches under my belt at Toastmasters. My only 3 times ever that I spoke in my life in front of a crowd. Yeah, I'm still going through the growing pains. To give you an idea of where I came from, or the journey I was start at a point in my life, that is, during my 3rd year in college, I had signed up for a pencil sketching contest in the annual competition of the college. And what do you know? I ended up winning the 2nd place. So on the annual D-Day of the celebrations, when the awards were given out, I was seated in a 2,000 capacity auditorium along with my friend. We had a special guest who came by too, and we were giving out the prizes to the winners of all other competitions too. Sitting through it, I was watching the usual crowd of overachievers going up the stage and getting their awards. Came the turn of the winners of the pencil sketching competition. My friend was like, "You better start moving toward the stage." But I was stuck, glued. I couldn't move. After that, I vaguely remember he elbowed me again and said, "Go, they just called out your name." Aha. Still no movement. Looks like they called out my name a few more times and moved on to the next person. What was going through my mind? Moments before my roommate asked me to move towards the stage, I started imagining that every step I took towards the stage, in slow motion, with each step, a part of my clothing was getting shredded and torn away from my body. After that thought, I could not move. I just could not move. Phew! Talk about stage fright. Well, fast forward 25 years later, my first ever speech at Toastmasters. Location, Toastmasters Ashburn, the icebreaker. After a few weeks of writing up and rewriting up about my life, I had a grand plan of practicing the speech for a whole weekend before the D-Day. 3 nights before the icebreaker, on the Sunday morning, I woke up from a nightmare, was sweating and my heart was beating like crazy. Looked around the room, no one around. I started wondering and recollecting the dream. What happened? It was about the icebreaker. I was going to give on Wednesday. Looked like I made a grand entrance, was confidently giving a great speech about my life, and suddenly a bunch of beautiful looking girls stood up and started shouting at me. They were sitting at the back, started shouting at me. And shouting me down. And as I looked on, some of them started throwing stuff at me. Rotten eggs, tomatoes. It was a nightmare I was glad to wake up from before it got worse. Before things got worse. After that emotional crusher, I was able to deliver my first speech. Woohoo! Woo! Next story. After my third speech at Toastmasters. Toastmasters, energy sucking monsters. It was supposed to be without the use of notes. Even though I was able to write up a satisfactory material about 3 hours before the speechathon. I was so nervous. I practically started reading out of the paper in my hand. I was not even able to remember the punchline. The following weekend, on my regular call with my parents, I told my mom about the third speech. Mom, though I wrote a good speech, I was not able to remember any of it. To which she said, "Oh yes, you have always been like that." What? You never could remember anything. What? Huh? Yeah, you could never remember. But on the other hand, your kid brother, who's about 5 years younger than me, he was smart enough to remember stuff. He just had to read a couple of times and he could remember stuff forever. Okay, thanks mom. Thanks for the word of confidence. After the call, I just sat down, was thinking about my childhood, things my parents always kept telling me. And suddenly it occurred to me, both my parents think that I am a bad version of the other parent.